Okay, tell me why you're here today.
I'm here to speak about my father, Mohammed Hamid. He was wrongly accused of terrorism in the year 2005. He was wrongly accused under the Terrorism Act of 2000. He was accused of paintballing and camping. Paintballing is not illegal in the United Kingdom. It is a activity that many people do to just have fun. The BBC4 actually paid for him to do this documentary and encouraged him to do paintballing to show activities within the Muslim community of what Muslims actually do in the community. So paintballing was one of the activities that BBC4 actually paid for him to go and do. Then they later on used this documentary in court for evidence to accuse him of training under the Terrorism Act. So it's really, really pathetic, that someone can be charged with training by going paintballing and camping.
What, was this the major evidence against him?
Yeah, the major evidence was camping and paintballing.
Because he was training to be a terrorist.
This is what they were trying to imply and say, yes.
Well, you know your father. Can you believe he was training to be a terrorist?
No, not at all. I mean, he's 100% innocent. I went to the court and I was sitting in the court case for the whole 6 months listening to, the prosecution and all their skeletons and all their mishaps of, just trying to convict someone on something that they didn't really have much evidence to provide for. So the only evidence they could provide was showing them paintballing, which was a documentary for BBC4, and camping.
It took 6 months? Why did it take 6 months?
Because the jury was just confused. The jury just didn't know what to do. They couldn't reach a verdict. They they had so many. I mean, the prosecution actually had a couple people come in to give witness statements. There were 2 police officers from Cumbria, Wales. They were paid, they were obviously paid by the prosecution to give statements on seeing these group of so-called Muslim men in the fields, and they both stated that they were doing military style training and stuff. So when it came to court, I mean, my father's QC said, well, how can they have been doing military training when both of you have claimed that you're both from military training backgrounds? So how could that be? So we realised that someone was lying. We looked back to both of their statements and they had identical police statements. So they were both lying under oath, and they actually got caught banged to rights in the courtroom where they got cleared on those charges, and we weren't to say anything else of it. The media and the press weren't allowed to put that in the media.
Let's accept that your father was innocent. He's nevertheless been targeted. Why was he singled out?
I think my father was singled out because he had an impact on the community. He used to have a stall on Marble Arch from Monday to Saturday on the corner of Oxford Street, where he was distributing a lot of literature on the conspiracies of 9/11, the conspiracy of 7/7, Zionism in Israel, and all these documentaries about secret societies, the Masons, and he was well known within the community. He used to go Speaker's Corner on a Sunday as well and speak to the whole of Speaker's Corner, and I just think he was victimised for the knowledge he had and all the information he had and that he was distributing. They didn't want him on the streets doing what he was doing, so they had to find a reason to get him away. They had to put him behind bars like Nelson Mandela and all the other people that have been victimised for freedom of speech.
So maybe this Channel 4 documentary was even part of a set-up and a stitch-up?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I sincerely believe it was. I mean, I've worked closely with Phil Rees and Nazreen Suleiman, who were the actual people who were paid to do the documentary for BBC4. Phil actually asked me when I last spoke to him that do I actually blame him, and I said I do, but I don't blame him individually. I blame the people that were working behind closed doors using him as the guinea pig, because when we tried to get access to the actual documentary, they couldn't find it. It had gone missing from the office. They said somebody had took it to go and take to the school to show children about other cultures in life and stuff, and it was just Secret Service losing all their logbooks.
Okay, finally, what would you ask anyone that's looking at this video? What would you ask them to do?
I would ask them to help me in my campaign, just to help me free my father, and to help me in my campaign to just stop this from happening to any other family, and to speak up about what you know within the case and what actually happened. I would like for people like Attila, who was one of the Codys arrested with my father, to speak out again, speak about what really happened to him in the cell. You know, why did he crumble and go guilty, and what did they actually do to him? You know, I want to know the truth.
So he was arrested with someone else who pleaded guilty.
After crumbling, yeah, you know, they actually went for the weakest one out of the lot. You know, he was suffering panic attacks in his cell. He was going crazy. You know, he was shaving off his beard, going mad, not knowing what to do. And I think they just victimised him and said, look, if you go guilty, we'll do such and such. You know, and it's all worked out in his favour now, because he's actually walking the streets now, while my father's the one who's left inside with this hefty sentence on him, you know. And they just think it's okay to get on with their normal lives, and I'm not going to kick up a stink. Well, I am. You know, I'm going to kick up a big stink, you know, and I just hope I don't get into trouble along the way. But, you know, the most I can do is get my voice to be heard, and I really could do with some support from the Muslim community, because everybody who's helping me at the moment, they're not Muslims. They're not like my brother or sister, you know. They're meant to be the ones that help me, but they don't help me. So, you know, I really do appreciate the help from Passing Clouds and Bridget and all the other Stop the War campaign and all these peaceful protesters who are actually helping me in speaking out against the injustice of my father's harsh sentence.
I get this might not go in the video, but I guess the Muslim community feels in a state of fear and frenzy in general.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I'm very fearful too, but I don't want this to happen to my children or another friend who lives next door. I don't want them to go through these things, so the most I can do is raise my voice in what's going on.
Thank you.